Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Charlie Bengel Jr. with Remax Allegiance. Welcome to another edition of the Allegiance Way Show and the Daily Dose. My co-host today, again, is Coach Amy Lassen. Amy, good to see you.
You too.
So this is kind of day two of Dominate, the essential tools that every agent needs.
Yes.
And this is one of my favorite topics because I feel like it's one that we tend to not be negative 1-2 minutes into the show, but it's one that we tend to squander.
Yeah.
I ask somebody, I think, virtually every day, have you spoken to everybody that you know in the last 90 days by phone?
Yeah.
And can you guess how many times somebody has told me yes?
Yeah, zero.
Zero. Up through today, the answer is still zero.
Yep.
So conversations are just a little piece of this, but let's talk today about marketing to our sphere.
Right.
Kind of some intro comments from you.
Well, we are in this 30 minutes. We're going to go deep and we're going to give you a plan that you can work from. But Charlie, I think you started in the right place and talking about how essential this is and the mindset of it. And yesterday I asked my mastermind, I said, what have you said? What is your message to every single person you have contact information for about what's going on? And they said, huh? Like I got so much pushback.
Right.
I got pushback like, well, how do we know what's going on? And I'm like, okay, argue with me. Try that.
Yeah.
But I said, I'll tell you what's going on. X number of properties came on the market in the last 7 days, and nearly every single one of them went under contract, whatever that percentage is. 82% average days on market for the average price in the MLS is this. Average days on market is 8. For a 7-day look, that's a number. Well, it might change. Everything changes. But they just kept pushing back on me. And you and I have had this experience in coaching a lot. No, I don't want to be pushy. I don't know what to say. We've heard it all, right? So for me, Charlie, you say this all the time. It's the gold at your feet, right? The people who already know, like, and trust you, best possible source of business. And if you're relying on a farm or Zillow leads or any other thing, guess what? Step 2 is putting them in your sphere of influence marketing plan. No matter what,
right?
This has got to be the foundational piece of your business. So to me, it's a two-pronged approach. It's marketing your service model, right? What is that? What does that look like? We could talk about the elements of marketing your service model. And then those one-to-one, voice-to-voice, face-to-face, whatever those are, communications, those conversations. And a conversation is back and forth. People always say, if I email 200 people with a picture of a house, is that a conversation? No, it definitely is not. That's promoting your service model, right? And I think both are essential. And if you do a good job of promoting the service that you provide and being in community with them in a bigger picture way, those voice-to-voice conversations can be all about their dog's knee surgery and no need to beat them up for referrals.
Well, yeah, and and right now, the market's moving all across the country, right? I mean, it's really striking.
Yeah.
When Detroit reopened last week, they had 1,000 listings hit the market that day. That was the pent-up demand for Detroit. That's just one example. I know your market in Colorado Springs is crazy. Our market in DC Metro and down in Virginia Beach is crazy. So we have that message. We have good news for buyers. We have good news for sellers. And we've pivoted. We're still in business. We've pivoted, right? So, somebody's asking, if I email clients just checking in on them, is that a conversation? If they get back to you really quick and then you get back to them really quick, all of this is unlikely. Hate to break the news to you, Nancy alert. So it could be a conversation. It probably is not a conversation, right? If there's back and forth via email, great. But I'd rather you see that do over text, Facebook Messenger, or really pick up the phone. Pick up the phone.
Well, I want to emphasize, I think any way that you're going back and forth, it counts. And
I agree. Yes.
I have had agents in trainings push back on me and say nothing counts except, and fill in the blank. I've had agents say text doesn't work. It's only phone calls. I've had other agents laugh in their face and say, text is the only way I can reach people. They're not going to pick up their phone.
Right.
So yeah, please don't overthink it as long as it's back and forth.
Back and forth.
The same thing.
And back and forth is not over the course of a week. It's pretty quick back and forth.
I don't know,
It's a flow. A conversation is a flow, right? So anyway, let's start. Let me share my screen. Let's just jump right into this.
Okay, so
talk to me about this chart.
I want to give big picture, and please don't be overwhelmed, everybody, by this. This is meant to be very, very step by step, so that you no longer have excuses for not taking action on communicating with all the people that you have contact information for. So at the very top, it says first things first. And here is an example of a database that has 300 contacts in it. You figure out your number, you put the number in there. But first things first, you need to organize your database, however many contacts you have. This includes your best friend and your mom, all the way down to cold leads, or maybe the contact information you captured from someone at an open house. Okay.
Right.
And we'll talk about how you stratify those. I want you to focus on a top 20, and I'm going to explain the concept of a top 20 and what that could look like, what that could do for your life and your business. Send out a commitment or announcement letter, email, video, and we can talk about what could be included in that. When I first dreamed this up, it was right around the end of the year, and it was kind of a New Year's resolution commitment letter. But there's no wrong time to recommit to your people. And holy guacamole, how about now? How about now? I had someone push back on me yesterday in the mastermind and say, I have never done a monthly newsletter. If I started that now, I'd feel like a jerk. And I said, really? If you pivoted, if you shifted and started keeping your people more in the know now, what would be the better time? And the truth is, there's never a bad time to say, guess what? I've decided. And so I think an announcement commitment letter could sound like this. You could say, I have made a shift in the way that I keep my clients in the know, and you can expect a monthly update from me every single month from here on. Who's going to be?
Go. And you know what? You just set up an accountability group. you just told the world, I'm going to do this. So now you kind of feel the obligation to do that, right? Yeah. We have on theallegianceway.com, right? On theallegianceway.com, you can go to get more sellers or get more buyers. And we have an annual letter to clients. It's already set up. You'll make an editable copy of it, and then you can make changes as what you were just discussing, Amy. So that project is ready to go. You're just going to pivot, shift a little bit, right, based on today's market. So just wanted to. It's going
to be a content-rich call. You're making me realize we have a lot of collateral to share. So there's the first one. Download the letter.
There you go. Right. Good.
Next thing is schedule your monthly market update. And Charlie, okay, so collateral number 2, roll, because Remax Allegiance has everybody's back on this one.
Yep. So we just started. The first one goes out tomorrow, right? An electronic newsletter that goes out twice a month. And you set it, you can set it and forget it. If it's customized, we'll upload your sphere to MailChimp for you. If you don't have MailChimp, we'll set up MailChimp for you. And then we create the newsletter. It's going to have market stats. It's going to have listings. It's going to have things to do when you're trapped inside, when we can all go out again. It's going to have things to do outside too, right? And it is cheap, cheap, cheap. So you can go to our intranet and check that out. If you're not with Allegiance and you're interested, just shoot me an email and I'm happy to get you the details.
Awesome. Oh man. So 2 things, and we're barely still in the first things first section. So call your A's every single quarter. Different trainers and different coaches have different rhythm of connection that they think is important, but we're talking about these A quality contacts in your database. My example of 300, if I have, 75 of those, 100 of those are my A quality people who would absolutely refer me if someone asked them, hey, do you know an agent? Yeah, Amy Lassen all day long.
Right.
So these are my A contacts. Quarterly would not be too frequent. And then I put in a budget here of 5 per day. This was based on the 300, and then work your way through the B's. Live in your CRM. So this is the first things first. Live in your CRM. And we're going to talk about that. We're actually going to do a broadcast on what is your relationship with your CRM. It is not a set it and forget it any more than an email account is. You can't set up an email account and then just hope somebody will call you or flick you in the head when you're something important you need to address. You have to check it every day. Same thing for a CRM. You have to have a healthy relationship with your CRM, and we will go into that in depth. So here's a chart that we created to help you with breaking your database into the A's, B's, and C's and figuring out who gets what from me. And Charlie, you already talked about that monthly newsletter. Because it's email, you can send that to every single person you have contact information for. That's not going to hit the pocketbook. That's not going to be a tough thing to maintain cost-wise. If you want to have a 2-parter, this was based on a conversation I had with a coaching client who she did something a little bit more real estate heavy and then a separate community love newsletter. And these were her 2 separate touches, but it sounds like yours is being more integrated.
Right.
And then social media. Social media does take time, but it can be a relatively free way to stay in communication with people. And some people prefer it. So all the way down to the C's, these may be, like I say, open house leads, You can connect with them, you can friend them. Some people are squeamish. They're like, I don't want to be friends with them. I'm like, okay, your choice. But in this very social media heavy world, connecting with people on social media can be a really great way to convert them. Calls, again, cost you time, doesn't cost you money. Texts, emails, and then email property searches as appropriate. It shocks me how many agents save that in their back pocket for what I don't know. I've had agents say, well, they haven't signed an agency yet, or I'm not exactly sure how soon that they'll be closing. So if somebody is genuinely interested in a house, put them on a property search. Right. Take advantage of that really substantive touch that will go out to them on an automated basis. So working our way from the far right to the left, you decide whether or not the B quality contacts in your database would deserve to be invited to your events. That just totally depends on how you do them. I know people who throw really lavish events, who do more casual events. That's on you how you do that. But actually popping by someone's house, which now in the time of COVID, we can talk about how to do some adjustments there. And you can. So don't get upset that a pop-bys could still be a thing. But COVID or no COVID, I would still save the pop-bys for my best people, and I wouldn't be driving all over hither and yon for every possible contact in my database. All right. Same thing for handwritten notes. You may or may not want to be writing handwritten notes to people you hardly know, but it depends. And I want to give a disclaimer. This graph has a lot of things in it, and you don't have to do them all. Okay. You do need to cherry pick a few and be consistent, and that consistency will take you everywhere. And maybe I'll tell you all about my friend Elizabeth again, because she has the simplest business plan I've ever seen. Right. Wildly consistent. Yep. And so I point out that she does half these things and she does great. So you pick the ones that make good sense to you. Actually, Charlie, I have a story I want to tell this story. I recommend it, and I will not out the sister or the city, because then it will get too close. Years and years ago, I found an agent for one of my sisters.
Okay.
And I just did it to help her. And the referral fee went to my sister. Like, it wasn't about me. I was just trying to help. Yeah. Years later, they have now bought and sold 5 times with this agent. And I was visiting them, and they said, oh, by the way, we hate our agent. And I said, really? Why do you stay with her? You don't owe me anything. Right. I said, I can't stand her. And they had a lot of reasons for saying so. And I was like, okay, I'm super confused. Like, guys, let it go. You don't have to stay with her. And they said, you don't understand. She gives us all these presents. Right. It's beer in the summer. It's a Christmas tree, Christmas time. She just showers us with gifts. And I thought, wow, that's a story to tell. They don't even like her. And they won't get rid of her because of her pop-by gifts. So maybe that's a dumb story, but it's compelling, right?
And I think right now, and I think you and I have discussed this in the last week or so, why not send flowers to our best people right now? Hey, I know you've been cooped up inside for going on 2 months now in some states, right? I was thinking of you. I hope these brighten your day, right? That's your pop by. Yeah. You're helping a local florist who more than likely needs the business. You're brightening up a client's day. And if they're sitting at home, ripping their hair out, trying to homeschool kids, deal with the husband who's trying to do conference calls with the dog barking, they might take a photo of those flowers and go, look at these beautiful flowers that my realtor just sent me, and boom, those are on Facebook, right? So, easy peasy, and it benefits so many people just, beyond you and that client.
It does. And you know what? I have a friend at my brokerage who told me yesterday that he had his friend with a nursery, and they went and bought a massive amount of plants, and they're going to leave them on the porches, and they're just going to text the client, it's on your porch.
That's a great idea, right?
Yeah. And, it's like, if you're afraid to touch a plant that someone else touched, I guess that's a problem. But like, you don't have to drive to the nursery yourself, put a mask on. Yep. Yeah. So
I like it.
Pop-bys can be great. Handwritten notes, those can be just for thoughtful things. Notes of gratitude and acknowledgement always carry, but you can also do special holidays, home closing anniversaries, birthdays, things like that.
Yeah, I say do all of the above. Sending out, it could be a St. Patrick's Day card with a lottery ticket in it, right? I mean, we can go on and on and on with the different ideas. You want me to scroll back up over here for?
No. Oh, I don't know. Tell me.
Do you want to keep going down, or do you want to switch over to B?
They'll know what's on the document here. Okay. So if you don't know what to do, so then a little bit more, remember that these far 2 left ones are A's and A pluses on the far right. So for the A pluses, and these are like those raving fans, your core advocates, that top 20. And these aren't people who would refer you if asked. These are people who will volunteer, right? These are people who will overhear and say, oh, I'm sorry, did I fail to tell you about Charlie Bengel? Come here.
The raving fans, going back to that old book from 30 years ago almost, right?
And I shared my story yesterday about my own sister, who is an excellent agent, but I was never tripping over myself to refer her because I just didn't think it mattered. And I now do that. I go out of my way to say, wait, hold still, stop,
Right.
don't call anybody else. That can be your top 20. So the top 20 are the people that you genuinely enjoy. And I used to make the mistake back in the day of taking all my clients to lunch because I had a trainer tell me to. And I like my clients just fine, but that was quite the time drain. And some of them didn't make my life better.
Right. Agreed.
They weren't super energizing or amazing people. They weren't
Right.
huge referral sources. They were just past clients. So I would reserve that activity, coffees and lunches, when that's an option, for your top 20. Small group dinners, again, back when social distancing is lifted. A monthly happy hour, although you could do virtual ones with the people that you really care about. Thoughtful touches throughout the year. Maybe you've got somebody in your top 20 who volunteers for the Golden Retriever Rescue, and you see this incredible article and you think of them. Like, be in genuine community with them, care about them, and it's mutual, right? These can also be your connectors. Identifying the people in your database who are the most connected people in your community and talking to them about your service can be an incredible way to grow your business. Buy them a copy of the most life-changing book you read last year and ship it to their house, right? Nothing says I care about your success than sharing things like that. And then annual reviews. This is something that I borrowed from a friend of mine at my brokerage. She does beautiful bound, full-color home value reports for a select number of people every single year. So I would say the A's and the A pluses, you're being their partner in the homeownership journey when you give them that beautiful report every single year.
And a plug, again, theallegianceway.com, click on Get More Sellers. The annual home value report project is already in there. You click on it. I've got the instructions. I've got the letter that goes with it. I've got how many people you should be sending it to, the follow-up, the whole bit. All you've got to do is actually just do the work. So I think it's a great way to be in touch with people. And I tell you, going back to the book idea, the Miracle Morning, how many people need the Miracle Morning book right now? I mean, seriously, right? Again, everyone's routines, I feel like we've kind of gotten into a new normal. But, if you're a homeschool, I've got some coaching clients, that are sitting at home homeschooling 2 kids, right? Dealing with the husband, the this, the that. It is a really heavy lift. So whether they have time to read or not, if you send them a copy of the Miracle Morning book and say, hey, I got a lot from this book. I know that routines are really hard to abide by right now or follow, right? But, here's an easy read. It was a great benefit to me in my life, and I think that it could be for you too. These are things that, as Tom Ferry says, now's the time to build our brand, right? And these are things that people are going to remember for a long time.
Oh, absolutely. Charlie, I remember years ago an interview with Brian Buffini, and he talked about having lunch with one of his close past clients, who he mentions later in the interview was the head of a really big bank, which becomes significant later.
Sure.
But they had a conversation about what was going on in the man's life, and his only child was going off to college, and he was this really stoic man, not super chatty, not real communicative, a little bit of a stony faced, pretty calm countenance. But he could see that it was bothering him. And he said, and I blew off my next appointment. He said, my phone was blowing up with my systems assistant saying, where the heck are you? And he said, and I drove to a bookstore and I bought a book called Filling the Empty Nest and another one on succeeding your first year in college.
Wow.
And I delivered them to his office and he called me crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
The impact that you can make on people's lives if you choose to focus.
Absolutely. I like it. Keep going down into the calendar or back up top.
Well, so just scroll so we can show them what's here. This is yours to read. This next little part below is just an empty grid to give you an example of, and we have this for you too, Charlie. We should have made a list of all the downloads we're recommending. On this single call, we may recommend 10 different downloads, because if you want to take marketing in a pandemic from the Allegiance.
Oh, right. Yep.
And use that to fill in your Facebook and Instagram schedule, excellent place to start. The rest of this is a tutorial for those who are saying, wait, you're talking too fast, I still don't get it. Here's how you ABC a database. These are the definitions of what those would be about. Who gets what, right? You're already maybe forgetting who gets what. It's all organized here. What do the A's get? What do the B's get? And this is just prioritizing your time and your money. If everyone is special, then no one is special. So
talk to me, and I'm going to get real specific, but this could be seen as overwhelming to some of the agents. How I don't want to send 3 birthday cards every day, right? I don't want. So what are some hacks? You and I talked about this yesterday, right? So one of your clients She gets all the birthday cards done in a month, right?
We're going to show them on the
Okay.
whiteboard. Yeah, because we also, everybody, this document right here is meant to teach you how to communicate with your sphere of influence and organize your database. The next one we're going to show you is basically the whiteboard marketing chart. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll continue with this and then we'll pivot over there.
Real quickly, and this is just who do you send, what do you send to whom? Keep going. I just want to, and then the rhythm of communication. What do you do daily, weekly, monthly, right? And then within the weekly is an entire strategy for being on social media. And I have people say to me all the time, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be rude. Facebook doesn't allow business content on a personal page. I've heard it all. So this is a very quick tutorial on what is the healthy distribution of personal to business that's going to make you engaging and interesting. And I will tell you, Facebook will not shut you down for that. Your friends will.
Right.
All you ever talk about is your own people will shut you down.
Well, and like you've said before, if you don't want to be pushy or annoying, then don't be pushy or annoying.
Yeah, but then people say, I don't know what to say. We made it easy.
Right.
So there you go.
Down here at monthly.
Yep. What do you do monthly? This is the rhythm of communication and connection. Twice yearly, I put client parties. That's not for right now. We'll have to figure that out longer term.
Okay, good.
Okay. So that's really the real quick.
Real quick.
But for me, I'm a very visually driven person, and I found that most of us are. And so if you can, share the screen with the mock-up I did of a whiteboard.
Yes. Keep talking while I work on that.
So what we just covered is the communication plan for your sphere of influence, right? Getting organized, what do you send to whom, on what rhythm. Now, what we really want is to have those big rocks. I talked about promoting your service model and then staying in communication. This is intended to be something that I would put on a really big whiteboard. That's funny, it disappeared.
Yeah, it'll be back in a second. Keep talking.
So this is something I intended to put on a whiteboard so that, because here's the thing, I am the one who's guilty of the week before Thanksgiving going, oh, criminy, should I have done something special for Thanksgiving? I wasn't looking ahead. I was thinking about it, right? And then I have a coaching client who does the cutest Halloween pop buys ever. And then 3 days before Halloween, I'm thinking, man, can I get that together fast enough? I've shared the story of the year that I bought enough pumpkins to deliver to everyone and I'll let them freeze in my driveway. So it's time to have a longer term vision and not let this get away from you. This is a little blurry to my eyes. I don't know if everyone else can read it. Maybe we can have somebody say something in the comments about whether or not it's blurry. But I'm just going to read it through you super quickly so that you have a vision of exactly what Charlie was saying. Here's some hacks to help you do this more efficiently. So everything in blue is meant to be repetitive, right? The first element is that monthly newsletter that Remax Allegiance can send for you. And then the second element, what would you recommend for that one that's more of a snail mailed piece, Charlie?
Birthday cards, the St. Patty's Day cards, right? Sure. The beach balls, the whole, and I see you have birthdays here, but the whole bit. And I've told countless clients that when in doubt, send the just listed or just sold card as your monthly mailing if you don't have anything else to send. We're so used to sending just listed, just sold cards around a neighborhood.
Yeah,
there's no reason why we can't send it to our clients too, so they know that we're alive and working. So when in doubt, just do that.
Sure. So I would say the first one is that emailed newsletter. The second piece is snail mail, wherever you want that to be. And I do have birthdays as separate. So for me, this is the monthly postcard that I send with the 2-for-1 offers in my marketplace. I have coaching clients who do holiday, seasonal touches, things like that, local love ideas. Anyway, so the third item here is the birthdays. And what you were alluding to is I have a coaching client who pointed out to me that it can be so easy. She wishes everyone a happy birthday month. And so she writes all of the June birthday cards in time at the end of May to mail them, so that even if it's a June 1st birthday, it won't be late and you won't be watching the calendar thinking, oh crap, I missed it, right? So she wishes them a happy birthday month. She does it all on a certain day. They just go and she's done. So then the next section, we're still in January. I have chosen, this is my own silly code, is that the red stuff is stuff that's going to happen. And the pink stuff is kind of prepping to happen for the next month. So here in January, we have send those settlement statements to the people who closed last year, right? Those settlement statements that we made copies of and tucked, it's old school, but tuck it in a folder, fold it up, put it in the mail and send it to them and say, here, provide this to your tax preparer. Yes, you have a copy, but if it's hard to get to, here you go.
And I would take that a step further. Almost virtually anything that I'm sending in the mail, I'm following up with a call. Hey, did you get the settlement statement that I sent you last week? Do you have any questions? We know that it's easier to pick up the phone when we've sent them something, right? The script, did you get my mail? It doesn't get any easier. So I know that there's people watching and listening to this that have a fear of the phone,
Sure.
right? And this is a way to overcome it. Just follow up with people, and then you're going to be in touch with them. If you think quarterly is a problem, if you just follow up with all the cool stuff you're sending them, quarterly is going to be easy for you. Go on.
Well, that's really true. And for those who are saying people don't pick up their phone, whatever it might be, this is my little cheat, and it's been hugely successful for me this year, both with real estate clients and coaching clients, is I send video texts, and I don't send long ones. But it's just amazing the feedback I get. Like, Charlie, I've been a little surprised, and I'm doing it because I'm not that fast a texter.
Yeah.
I do it because it's easier for me. I make sure that my face is well lit. I just stand in a window. Right. I say what I have to say. I smile into the lens, and they're just like, "Wow, that was great. That was so much better than a text." I'm like, really? So try video text when you want to say, "Hey, I sent you this."
So I would call, and if they don't answer, I'm hanging up and I'm doing a video text.
Heck yes.
Done. Move on to the next one.
A lot, right? Charlie. I rarely leave voicemails because I don't like checking voicemails myself. Yep,
you and me both. Amen, sister. What's
So moving on to February, we don't necessarily have to walk you through this whole thing, but I just want to point out that in February, what I put here was buy the scratch tickets and the St. Patty's Day cards and be prepared for your March mailing, right? And this is what would save my butt when I'm saying, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Why did I not see this coming? So for me, this can't be hidden in a folder. That's got to be up in visual. I have to be able to look ahead. You can make changes as you decide to. I've even mapped out the course of a movie morning. Not something we can do right now, but this is an example of how, if you have these bigger events that have more moving parts and you need to plot them out, what that could look like. So I would say, actually, Charlie, I want to commit right now, and it may be a couple weeks because we have a heck of a lot of content in Dominate to cover, but I think making some COVID appropriate revisions of this is a worthy challenge.
I agree. There's probably some folks that are out there watching this now thinking, okay, what are other pop by ideas that I can have delivered or drop off, right? Are there client events that I can do that don't involve getting together in a group, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think it makes sense to kind of brainstorm around something.
So I will tell you, my friend who is dropping off plants to pot, do a client event every year at that nursery.
Okay.
And this was their adaptation.
There you go. Right. That's smart. Yep.
Figure it out. Yeah.
Yep. I like it. Boy, I tell you, if there are people that are watching this and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not doing any of this. And we always talk about in coaching, progress, not perfection.
Yep.
Start somewhere, start your journey somewhere, right? Yep. Just take that first step and build on it. And I'm gonna make a plug for my group coaching with Remax Allegiance. We talk about things like this and we hold you accountable to it. Every week you're asked, what's the activity that you're going to work on to move your business forward? Mm-hmm. And I write it down and I assure you that the next week I'm going to ask you about it, right? Mm-hmm. So if you struggle with prioritizing or getting the stuff done that you want to get done, consider joining one of our groups. We have 4, we're about to add a 5th group, and I'm happy to have 10 groups, right? The more interested people I have, the more groups we'll have.
That's wonderful. That's a really, really good point. Please don't be overwhelmed, everybody. One step at a time is how you build this. You don't launch it whole cloth, and you don't try it for a week and decide it doesn't work.
Right.
Nurturing your own sphere of influence is kind of the same as farming. It's just a different focus, right? It's people you already know, but you're farming them for all intents and purposes. So you don't get to send one newsletter or make 3 phone calls or send one video text and say, Amy and Charlie are full of it. It didn't work.
Right.
It's just
a commitment.
It's a commitment. It's a career-long commitment. And I want to share, a couple of years ago, I had an agent come to me at the office, and it was September, and she said, I am not going to hit my goal this year. And I said, what? Because it was September.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll bite. What's going on? She said, well, I had back surgery. Remember, I've just been off my game. It's September 24th. I remember because it was my daughter's birthday. And I said, okay, but seriously, let's talk this through. Whoa, let's do the math.
Yeah.
So we sort of redid the simple business plan math right then and there on the whiteboard. And I walked her through it to how many conversations would she need to have, say, in the next 30 days to start filling her pipeline again. And she was like, oh, well, I could do that. It's like she had seen it as insurmountable, and we just chunked it down. And so that was a Monday. Thursday, she told me that she called the 6 most connected people. This is where I learned the concept of connectors. She called the 6 most connected people she knew, and she got 6 referrals.
Wow. Yeah.
On a Thursday. Now, people are going to say, Amy, that's just rude. That is a mean, over-the-top story that I can't recreate. But I want to tell you what you can recreate is do the simple math and take the simple steps. It's incredible how many people in your world are getting ready to buy or sell that you don't know about because you haven't talked to them. I told you, Charlie, I had somebody knock on my door yesterday and ask me to list her house.
Yeah. Did you all hear that? A neighbor knocked on Amy's door and asked her to list her house. Talk about being preeminent and where we all want to be, right? We want people knocking on our door, trying to give us business. But
I will tell you, I have been, and this is just me being very transparent about my own hypocrisy, I have been so focused on the Daily Dose and the Agents Way show and the content that we're providing to the agents. You and I coach a lot of agents. Right. So my focus and my value has been to my agents, not to my coaching clients. Yeah. So I have been the one who didn't call everyone, who didn't explain my hands-free model, who didn't explain my new virtual real estate process. So lucky me, she and I have talked before and she didn't forget me, but that's luck.
Right.
There are way more than her that I don't know about.
Right. Luck is not a strategy. Both of the handouts that we've presented today will be on theallegianceway.com by 5 p.m. today. Yeah. You'll just click on the Daily Dose. They'll also be under checklists. So check that out. We're a couple minutes over, Amy. Last minute closing thoughts from you.
Well, I was hoping, if you can, from memory, rattle off the incredible number of resources that you thought of during this single presentation, right? Because it started with the announcement letter. It's available on the Allegiance Way. And then the next one was
the newsletter.
The newsletter.
Yep.
And then the third.
The annual home checkup report.
That may or may not have been the third one. Yep.
And what else do we have? The Allegiance coaching we talked about. There was another one, I think.
I think there is another one plus the 2 that we added today.
Right.
And don't let that be overwhelming to you. Please be patient with your brain. Drink some calming tea. Center yourself. Put in some ear canceling headphones, whatever. Just read them. Read them out loud if you need to. The information you need is there. Just do a little bit each day, and in 2 weeks from now, you'll thank us. I promise.
Absolutely. Amy, always a pleasure. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Daily Dose at 1:30 Eastern Time. Hope you all have a great rest of the afternoon. Take care.